r/AskReddit. What was your worst hotel stay experience and what made it so terrible? My dad went to a hotel once and checked into a first floor room. He went in the room, put his stuff down, opened the curtains, and a man was hiding there. My dad went, "Excuse me," closed the curtains, got his stuff and left. Went to the front desk to explain that a man was hiding in his room. Turns out the guy had just robbed a place and somehow got into the room with an open window. "Excuse me" is the alpha response to discovering a man hiding in your curtains. Your dad sounds like a boss. I would have screamed like a bitch, lol. "Excuse me, I've shat myself upon seeing you." The bathroom locked from the outside. If you accidentally shut the door all the way, you had to have someone in the room open the door for you when you were done. If you were by yourself, you were sole until someone came back, or you called the front desk from the bathroom to send someone up. This was pre-mainstream cell phone usage, so you may not have had your phone on you at all times. Needless to say, we got our stay calmed. You know, I've seen phones in a hotel bathroom or two. I'm sure this isn't the reason why, but it always seemed weird to me. At this point I like the idea. What if someone breaks in while you're in there too? I mean, not the one you were staying in, haha. You never know what's going to happen if you ever get stuck in there. I haven't been paying much attention lately to hotel bathrooms, since I usually take my phone with me, so wondering if it's still a standard feature. Motel 7 in El Paso had a software problem, lost track of occupied rooms. Rather than checking, they issued keys to possibly occupied rooms and waited to see if anyone complained. I twice opened my new hotel room door to find other guests in there. Jesus. I'd expect that kind of unprofessional behavior from Motel 6, but never from Motel 7. If they add cable, they can possibly evolve to a Super 8. District 9 is much better. The prawns there are amazing. I was in a big brand hotel at one of their nicer locations. Got my hotel key card and went to my room. Open the door and the bed isn't made. I just figure whatever they forgot to clean this one, I'll just give the front desk a call. Walk past the bathroom and see someone's toiletries sitting on the sink. Then I realize there's 2 suitcases on the other side of the bed as well. And people's stuff everywhere. Realize they messed up and go down and get a different room, free upgrade, and half off what I originally was going to pay for my stay. My mom and I had a guy try to enter our room at 3 AM. Luckily his card didn't work. Poor guy had no idea they'd just double booked our room and was so apologetic. But there's nothing like waking up to the handle jiggling madly and the audible frustration of a man who's trying very hard to get into your room. Getting stuck in an elevator with 2 children under the age of 6 for 3 hours. You know that little emergency phone they have in elevators? Well, it turns out they connect you to some idiot sitting in an office somewhere who does not even have any know-how or tools to do anything to help. The moron I talked to had no idea of that elevator or town I was in, and no idea of how to contact the hotel or 911 in the area. The only help he offered was to tell us to ring the alarm bell until staff responded. Then he hung up on us. Well, after ringing the bell for a good 20 minutes, a staff member did investigate. It turned out we were stuck between floors. She managed to pry open the doors from her side. She told us that, since it was a Sunday evening and we were in a remote place, nobody would be available to fix the elevator until Monday. As a last resort, my kids, my wife and I all had to squeeze through a narrow gap between the floor of the building and the roof of the elevator. Had that elevator decided to keep going down at the wrong moment, we would have been chopped in half. What did the hotel do about it? Absolutely nothing. At least until I wrote a bad review online. Then they contacted me and offered a free night for a future stay. After I expressed my opinion regarding that idea, they relented and refunded some of my money. This may be the worst one in here, as that is a phobia of mine. If you had been injured or killed, that would be a massive lawsuit for the hotel. Also, the story reminded me of when my best friend got stuck upside down for 3 hours on some ride at Six Flags Astro World when he was like 8. I stayed at a travel lodge a few years back. Went to get into bed and there was a blood stain on the sheet right in the middle of the bed. Pulled the sheet back and there was a huge puddle of it on the mattress, still wet. Not nice. Not as bad as that, but Airbnb I stayed in a few weeks ago. It was just a room in the bottom on someone's house that had 3 other secluded rooms. Was pretty rough even by my standards, but was late so settled in. Finally laid down to find the duvet was covered in dry blood. Decided to sleep with just a sheet and heater on high. Woke in the middle of the night to a faint trance-like voice speaking another language non-stop for 30 minutes, probably longer after I fell asleep. First thing in the morning noped out of there. The heater was probably the source of the voice. There's a name for it I don't remember, but constant white noise can take on the sound of familiar things because the brain is trying to assign meaning to the sound. A bathroom fan in a place I was staying in once sounded like I was a few hundred feet away from a massive crowd, all talking and laughing. I used to wake up in college to the fire alarm when it was a mix of my fan and my own paranoia about that thing. The air conditioner was spitting out ice while I was sleeping. Woke up thinking I wet myself, but then realized half the bed was soaked. Other than that it was fine. Why is this so funny to me? Also, how cold was that damn AC? An air conditioner that is low on coolant will ice up like that. This is such a weird thing. Low on coolant equals extremely cold. Had the same thought. Gotta have coolant to cool down that ice. Went to a historic hotel in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Walked in the room, blood everywhere. The bathtub, the curtains, the walls, floor, lamp, everywhere. Hotel refused to move us. We moved ourselves to a different hotel that night. Did they have an explanation as to why there was blood everywhere? They were unaware blood was in the room. They offered to send a maid to clean it. I encouraged they consider us the SI team instead. It makes you think how many times they prefer to clean it up instead of calling the cops. I stayed in a hotel on the strip in Vegas for a conference a few years ago. Was talking to my wife on the phone while getting ready for dinner and had to tell her, honey, got to go. I think I just found wet blood in my room. Called the hotel and they said they'd send someone up to look at it. I pointed out what I had found, a drop on the frame of the dresser. He took it apart and someone had bled all over this thing and all they had done to clean it was wipe off the surface. The frame around every drawer had puddles of blood. They neither moved me or reimbursed me. Unfortunately, it was the same hotel where the conference was held, so I was kind of stuck. I needed to find a hotel in Dayton, Ohio, because of my daughter's gymnastics competition. I read online reviews and the travel lodge there got good reviews. The price was good too, so I booked it. I had difficulty finding it because it was dark and their sign wasn't lit. Parking lot was pitch black. Just outside the entrance there were 2 sketchy guys that looked like they were negotiating a drug deal. Inside the motel lobby was dimly lit with flickering lights. The room was no better. Stained sheets, holes in the bedspread and hair in the shower. The fitness room consisted of a stair stepper that was broken and an old TV on the ground that was also broken. I told the front desk that I wanted to cancel our reservation. She said, I don't blame you. This place is gross. I had an interview at Kohl's and hope they hire me so I can quit this place. Checked into a casino hotel in Shreveport, La. Put our stuff in the room and then went to the casino. Came back hours later and could not get into our room. Traipsed to the front desk to find out why the card key was not working. Was informed that our room had to be exterminated due to an infestation. When I inquired what type of infestation, I was told that the desk clerk was not allowed to divulge that information. Got hotel manager and he led us back to our room, let us in, and the place was tossed, furniture overturned, mattress off of bed, etc. There was out luggage and belongings pretty much where we left them. Manager then took us to our new room and gave us the key cards for it. I asked, how the hell do you check someone into a room then discover it is infested with whatever? He was unable to adequately answer my question. I asked him about what type of extermination chemicals they used, because our stuff had been exterminated as well. He again could not comment. Wound up throwing out any consumables, didn't wear anything from our luggage, and checked out early the next morning, never to return again to that hotel. When we got home, washed everything in the hottest water available. As an aside, itched for a couple of days afterward, but this was probably power of suggestion. Sounds like bed bugs. They wouldn't divulge, because they didn't want to read about it in your Yelp review. Happened over Christmas time in China. Came back to the hotel after dropping my boyfriend off at the airport, so was clearly not in the best mood, only to find a lot of my belongings moved around the room and items missing, including my passport. There was food that she moved into the bathroom, my deodorant was in the shower and my shower gel was on the TV cabinet. Things were taken out of my suitcase and other items were put into my suitcase. Jewelry was on the floor, etc. Just really random stuff had been moved. I had to go to reception and try to speak Mandarin, I was studying, and explain the situation. My passport was the main issue and I managed to get it back, but I had gifts from my mum that were thrown out. Turns out the cleaner had taken my passport with the sheets to the laundry room, which is crazy as it was actually in a cupboard, no safe available. Checked out 2 weeks early and got a refund for all the missing items as she admitted to throwing them away, but she wouldn't say anything about why she had gone through my things or why she had moved anything. She didn't throw your stuff away. She took it. And she would have given your passport to some nefarious people too. Yeah, and I assume she moved everything around, so Ok wouldn't be able to immediately remember / find all the items. I remember reading a few years back that a stolen US passport goes for between $700 to KUSD depending upon the region. Drove halfway across Florida and collapsed into bed in an Econo Lodge in Crystal River. Noticed a funky smell coming from around the headboard. I lifted the mattress and found a used condom. After reading the other posts here, I thought for sure you were going to find a dead body, or at least a pool of blood. The toilet overflowed so exuberantly I leaped up to the edge of the bathtub to escape the flow. Then there was the tricky matter of getting from the bathtub to anywhere else without stepping in lake toilet. New version of floor is lava, except this one actually has poison damage. Not really a bad experience, but once I stayed in a hotel where the hot and cold water feeds for the room were plumbed the wrong way round. The water in the toilet bowl was boiling hot and kind of steamed raw, but when you used it. Did you stay at my hotel? Cause we have a room like that, and have had dozens of plumbers come take a look at it, and no one seems to know how to fix it. Not the worst, but the TV in my room turned on by itself at 4 AM. There's no way I could have done it myself. I just plugged it out, thought about it for a few minutes, then went back to sleep. Perhaps a cheap TV that uses the same remote for everyone. So maybe just your neighbor wanting to watch something at 4 AM. Could also just be a prank from a previous guest setting in on time. Some TVs have that feature. A few years ago I was staying at a hotel on the Las Vegas Strip and they had construction going on. Construction related faulty wiring or something kept causing the alarm to go off, false alarm, and periodically a recorded voice would say there was some kind of incident and to stay in your room until otherwise notified. All night long. Couldn't get any sleep and had to get up early and work all day. I was dragging. I caught an Uber to my Airbnb, which was a little guest house next to the host's main house in Florida. I guess they were confused about hearing a car pull up, but seeing an empty driveway. I was confused because they forgot to put toilet paper in the bathroom. We were both confused when they walked into the guest house to see me, but naked walking across the living room to get some paper napkins from the kitchen. This is amazing, and I'm so sorry. Did they forget that booked you? They were both naked, both looking for toilet paper. As customer service manager of Central Reservation in a resort town, a booking called our office because the kids staying in town for a soccer tournament all ran out to the pool and jumped in. They quickly realized that a dead man was floating in the pool. According to the medical examiner, he drowned about 8 hours previously. My office refunded our 10% commission. Coach must have had a hard time convincing them losing the tournament would be the worst thing that could ever happen to them. It was on the beach, but the gates to the beach were locked after 10. So after a late night on the water and going to a crab shop on a pier, we walked back to the hotel from the back over about 2 miles of beach in the dark. But that's when we realized that the hotel was locked and the buildings were wall against wall, so there was no chance for us to cross to the front. So, my family and I saw a neighboring hotel, jumped the fence, ran across the closed pool floor, and as we opened the gate to the front of the strip, a security light flashed on us, and the light immediately revealed a sign saying trespassers would be prosecuted. But were you prosecuted? Nope. Nothing ever came of it. But 12-year-old me was waiting for police to bust down the door. I stayed at a super shitty motel in New Jersey because I wanted to go to a concert but didn't want to drive home in the middle of the night. This place was a dump. The complimentary breakfast was a plate of stale bagels and coffee from a coffee pot that clearly hadn't been cleaned in years. Our door had dents in it from someone kicking it in. Everything smelled weird. My favorite part was the couple arguing in front of our door at like 6 in the morning. I'll never forget waking up to Diane. "You bitch, I love you.